Hi, a film I've been looking forward to for some time and that has finally arrived in cinemas and I was finally able to catch up with it is Halloween Kills, the latest installment in the long-running horror movie series. It follows on from the 2018 film Halloween, which was in and of itself a direct sequel to the 1978 original film, ignoring all the sequels and the complex, overly convoluted mythology that's grown up in the meantime. This cut right back to the original premise of the series of the mysterious masked killer Michael Myers, who murdered his sister at the age of 6, spent 15 years in an asylum before escaping to go on the rampage again. And now, 40 years later, he has escaped again, only this time his former survivor, Laurie Strode, is prepared. Halloween Kills picks up further the same night of the 2018 film. Laurie, her daughter, and granddaughter are being taken to hospital as Michael is trapped in a burning basement. But the fire brigade arrive, they put the fire out and inadvertently free him, and Michael continues to go on a rampage as the town realizes the threat that they face and are determined not to let Michael get away again. The film is not as good as the 2018 film, which I praise very, very highly and I stand by. It's trying for something much broader and grander and more ambitious. There is a major theme, and it's essentially the main plot going through the movie, that um, town mobs organizing themselves to hunt down and kill Michael, this bogeyman who's haunted the collective memory of the town for decades. And the idea is that Michael's violence has essentially poisoned the entire town and turned them into rampaging murderers themselves. There's a scene where another escapee from the same lunatic asylum bus is hunted through a hospital, even though he is apparently completely harmless. And only one person, Laurie's daughter Karen, played by Judy Greer, is prepared to protect him. But even then, she's unable to save his life from the raging crowd. So there's interesting intellectual ideas at work. The idea that his whole that Michael has effectively attacked the entire town. That even those who've never encountered him have somehow been touched by the violence and the brutality and the inhumanity of his existence and been poisoned by it. But unfortunately, the film is so off beam and oddly structured that it doesn't really gel properly. Jamie Lee Curtis, even though she's top billed, effectively takes quite a small supporting role, spending most of the movie in a hospital bed. And there's little in the way of an overall centre for the story. If anything, the main character is probably Tommy Doyle, played by Anthony Michael Hall. Tommy was the little boy Laurie was babysitting in the original film. Now he's all grown up and in his late 40s and the organising force behind the lynch mob. We have a number of other characters coming back from the earlier films in the series. Kyle Richards, who is now a reality TV performer, returns to acting as the little girl who Laurie was forced to look after as well. Charles Cyphers, who was the sheriff in the original film, came out of retirement for the film, for the new film rather. And we have various other figures coming back from the past of the franchise, as well as many sort of references and elements going back to the original film. I do like the idea of taking a look from an alternative direction, seeing what happened after Michael managed to get away at the end of the original film, for example, as the police explore the dilapidated Myers home. Some might call it fan service, and I can understand why, but I do find this sort of sideways, alternate look at it interesting. And by that extension, we also get a brief appearance by Sam Loomis, Michael's psychiatrist, played in the original film and many of its sequels by Donald Pleasance, here played by a stand-in, Tom Jones Jr., who happens to look almost exactly like Donald Pleasance and is helped by some very clever prosthetics and a sound-alike actor. The result is unnervingly uncanny, but it's all done without computer effects. Um, it's just a shame, I think, that a film that is as ambitious and trying to explore grand ideas that the previous films have never really considered does so in such an unbalanced way. There's no room for Laurie in the main story as she's shunted off into a side plot that has little to do with anything else. Um, and there are too many digressions and diversions. We meet the couple who live in Laurie's house, the Myers house today, as they have refurbished it into a very nice pied-à-terre. But we have long scenes with them that don't really go anywhere. They could function as character introductions, but really they're kind of irrelevant because the characters end up just being knife fodder, really. So the result is a film that, even this, it's only 105 minutes long, feels very long, but really needs the benefit of tightness and focus that really would have been, the original had. And although this is on a, as I say, a grander, more epic scale, it still needs to have a clearness of thought and a clarity of vision, which is sadly missing. It's really a jumble of often good ideas, but with no real discipline behind them. It's a shame. It's far from the worst film in the series. Halloween 5 is still by far the worst Halloween film. It's dreadful. Um, but this at least gets marks for being original and trying to do something fresh and bold. It's just a pity that it didn't really work out.